charity. I need some help with the sponsorship program and for people to be in touch with the people in Tanzania. So if anybody's interested, and also to Sotogrande Britannia. So I thought we have a system with people in Gibraltar for so long, but now I need help from here too. We want to set up the centennial. We'll be doing their centennial next year, 100 years. And all over the world, they're doing a garland of events. The major event for Europe is in May, from the 1st to the 4th. And it's going to be in England, in Gaunt's house. I think it's in Bath. Is Gaunt's house in Bath? Somewhere there.
Somewhere around there.
Bournemouth, around that area. And anybody who's involved in integral yoga is welcome to come. We're probably going to bring a team in, and probably, I thought we'd do a little play of before Raj Yoga and after Raj Yoga and have some fun with the knowledge as our contribution to the centennial. And hopefully by then, if Shanti has a chanting group sorted, we will do something there as well. So these are just ideas. We want to do a full day here for centennial. That's the major event there. Then there's a major event in July in the ashram in America. This is just to let you know. All his disciples from all over the world will be going there for the day called Guru Purnima, which is a day where we celebrate. It's actually July every year, and this year is on the 22nd on Monday. And it's a day that we celebrate and we say happy birthday to all the great saints and sages of all different traditions who have helped us through our spiritual mission in this world. So it's just it's like Guru Purnima is like birthday of all the gurus. So it's a day of celebration, you know, your relationship to the guru within, the guru without, the knowledge, whatever you call your guru. Remember the word guru means?
Remove darkness.
So whatever removes your darkness is a guru, whatever. For me, at the moment, it's dog and God. As you know, I'm really learning through my dog. So anyway, so these are the things to remove darkness, and that's why we celebrate Guru Purnima. So that will be going on in the States in July. Many people will be going. I'll also be offering a program there called The Essence of the Gita for 4 days, and people will come from all over the world. So that's a big event in the ashram in the States in July. And so we want to make one day here. I wasn't sure what date, and I wanted to speak, if anybody would join the committee, then we could set up a date and then ask people the whole day. We have different speakers, singing, whatever people can offer, talks on different subjects. You know, anything that's creative that helps us to elevate the soul. Anything, anybody you know, that, you know, then we have a whole day of half an hour talks, events, hatha yoga, tai chi, and just a whole day of offering people yoga. And then showing the living yoga video at the end of the day and doing some mantra chanting. So, any thoughts on that, and you'd like to join the team? Please, I'd love to have a meeting here on Monday if I have enough people at around 5 o'clock, if it's okay with anyone. Is that okay with you, Shanti? Monday at 5? I say Monday at 5 because the week after, it's okay. My son comes with all my family, so I have the whole family staying with me. So I won't be able to do much then. So I hope to get the wheels in motion before the summer. And then in September when we meet, then we can start planning. Yeah? And what else did I have to tell you? Yeah, in September I'll be going 10 days to England, to London. I'll be doing a Raj Yoga course there. And it's a, intense course. 9 to 4:30 every day for 6 days. Intense, yeah. No exams. There are no exams. It's just, I feel now so many people have asked for this knowledge. And I'm just thinking, a year's course is all I can offer here. And people have asked me to do different courses all over the world. And it's too hard for me to leave for so long. So I've just invented, this is the first time I'm doing this, a 7-day foundation course. So people can get as much as they can from the sutras. And then they have to research and study, and if they want to be teachers, have to find out another way to do it. But at least we'll be getting the information out to more people very quickly. So I'm going to try it this year to the people who have asked me to. That's London. And then in October, I'm repeating the same thing. Well, never the same, because I never say the same thing. Well, I don't know. It always comes out different. In October, for 7 days in Portugal. And then I'm doing it again in India for 7 days at the end of November. This is just for your information. If you want to join any of the programs, we're just covering costs, all the manuals, etc. And I think the costs and my plane fare to these places. I think London is $250, and obviously the place that we have to pay rent for wherever we use or whatever they supply. I think London is.
It's 250.
Thank you.
250 pounds.
Yeah, because they set the price, And I think India is 185. No, Portugal is 185.
Yes.
Portugal is 185.
Yeah. And 350 is India plus accommodation, which is about 195, accommodation and food.
Okay.
Yeah.
350 includes the India course is also including a little bit of touring. So that includes while the course will be taught in a bus, we're going to go to Gurudev's birthplace. We're going to go to the school that he built. We're going to visit certain temples. So the course, this is the first time I've ever done that, will be taught live, practically. Because you're going to see lots of things.
When was that, India?
India's 22nd, no, 24th to the 1st of December. But we're leaving on the 21st of November. No, sorry, November.
Yes.
I'm leaving on the 21st of November because I'm doing a joint program with Sonia Somara 2 days before I give the course. So if you're coming, you might as well go for her course because she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And I think if you haven't met, she does a lot of work with special needs. Just an incredible human being. She's South American and great love for life and a great love for special needs. And because of her, so many special needs children, are being looked upon as normal now because of her thinking and what she's spreading in the world. So I just think she's an amazing lady, and anybody who's taken our course in March will tell you the same. And doing a lot of good out there, So that's the schedule. Did I cover it well?
I think that's it. Actually.
Yeah, so this is just an information, and anything you want to know more about, please feel free to ask us. Because, once we start talking on this and then time goes and I realize there's so much more I want to share with you and, like we're working with Olga Betania this Saturday, 20th. 20th. We're going to go and clean the place up. So I think most of you saw the email. So that's all. So many things happening. What can we do? So,
Would you like me to do the intensive foundation course here at any time?
that would be really interesting for me to do because I just live here. Maybe should we say January of next year? Make it so simple. And those who've done it can do it again.
Yeah, make it like a week thing.
Yeah.
Maybe before the hall opens or something.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic. Yeah, probably, yes. That'd be great. But it won't be a teacher training. It'll be a foundation. But if I do it here, I might add another 2 days so that the students that are doing it, I might get them to use the last 2 days to express what they feel, rather than just me teaching. For questions and answers, on 1 day, just for questions and answers extra. Because I think it's really necessary to have enough time to ask questions.
Different talk.
Pardon?
Different talk.
Giselle, what was my But I don't want to scare them off.
That was so good.
Yeah, so good idea. So yes, a foundation course for me is very easy to do. Yes.
Jeremy's going to do it on January.
Great.
I'd like to do the India. I'd like to do the India as well.
Yeah, and everybody wants to do. Yeah.
Dear sons, the universe is changing. but the truth is not changing. The essence is the same always. Its forms change. What you call change in the universe is not change in the truth. The truth is essential element. And the elements, even the elements are the outcome of one element. The basic element. The energy according to the modern science. It is the basic energy creates all the elements. Earth, water, fire, air and so on, ether, everything. The Hindu scriptures call it the Pancha Bhudam, 5 elements. And they are all essentially the same, evolved from that. That means by their congregation, they create a form and they create a name. Like essentially there is water in the sea. Do you see anything else in the sea? Water, isn't it? That's what, when you go to the sea, you see the sea. It's only water. But what do you say? Oh, look at that wave, look at that iceberg, look at the spray, look at that bubble. You call them differently, but essentially there is only one truth, the water. So the change of forms and names is what you call change. And that is the untruth part. So the truth never changes. The untrue part, the forms and names changes. You were a baby, then a young boy, then a grown-up person, an adult, an old man, and you are dead. But you never changed. Your body kept on changing, and you got different labels. So that is what you see, that changeless one in the changing forms and names. Nama Rupa Prapancham they call it. Nama Rupa, name and form. The entire universe is nothing but name and form. All that you call as the universe under various names with various forms are only names and forms difference. Behind the name and form, the essence is the same. Modern science proves it. They first said all atoms, not atoms, but atoms. Then they split the atoms into so many things, electron, neutron, proton, and on and on and on and on. And then they still went deep into that. Ultimately they say sound, light, sound, and even behind the light and sound, nothing but just vibrations. They have at least come to that. Energy. The scriptures call it Shakti, power, or vitality, or prana. That is
He was saying. But what he is saying is not that. He is saying that no matter how many lifetimes you take, it's the energy. The energy is the same. Maybe in your last life, Pilar, you could have been Indian, or you could have been Chinese, and you could have had a really incredibly difficult life, and we don't know what you were in the last life, right? But the energy that was you in the past life is the same as the energy that is in you in this life. For example, okay, you have a bar of gold, okay? The bar of gold is a bar of gold is a bar of gold. Would you all agree? Bar of gold. I give it to a jeweler. I said, from this bar of gold, please, I want one gold chain, one bracelet, one earring, one man's ring, right? So he takes from that bar of gold and he makes all these different things. When people see it, they don't think, oh, the bar of gold is there. They think, oh, what a lovely bracelet, what a lovely necklace. But they won't think, the bar of gold. It's all come from one bar of gold. You see? So you basically, what's all of us, the spirit in all of us, is the same. And that's what he was saying. Once the energy then creates the forms, and then the forms change according to your journey as Pilar, as an individual. But the essence that is Pilar, when you die, Pilar will die, but you won't die. Do you see? He's talking about even deeper than the essence of your personality. Now, the essence of your personality and the essence of your character will change, but that's impermanent.
But I think about the soul, the Purusha, that also change.
Purusha never changes.
That you have something over it that is still the spirit, that is the energy, that is the same, that is the unit.
You're talking about, you see what you're saying is the jiva, the individual soul.
Yes.
That changes.
Okay.
Because the individual soul is not the pure stuff. Okay, let's give you another example, okay? Really, Swami Chinmayananda gave this example, and I thought so simple, and it really made so much sense to me. It's like you have a road, right? And you travel on that road. Now, the road stays still. And as a child, I remember looking outside, and I thought the road was moving with me. Until I realized when I was older, do you know children say, oh my God, I don't know if you thought that, but I used to think that all the time. And can't think the road's moving with me. But as I got older, obviously, as we do, the road remains the same. It's just so many travelers come through that road, but the road never changes. So the essence doesn't change. I mean, I'm just giving you a very human example so you understand. But what passes it keeps changing. So that's what Gurudev is talking about. That the soul, the energy that is us, the prana. He mentioned prana because that's a Sanskrit word for energy. And in the Bible you hear, and the Lord God then took the dust from the ground and breathed into man's nostril the breath of life. So what made us become alive? That energy, that breath, and the Lord God breathed into man the breath of life. Because, and the scientists call it the Big Bang. But we can't really explain it in words because it's beyond our mind. This is why we meditate, and this is why we study these sciences, so that we can go beyond the mind. The mind is limited to what we know in this world. And when we go beyond the mind, when we transcend the mind, when we touch that which is unlimited, that essence. That's why when you meditate a lot and you go in a lot and your heart is warmed and you're happy a lot, what happens is you feel at one with life. There's a flow. There's like a oneness that you feel. And it's almost like even if the mind is a little sick, you can watch your own mind and you're quite stable. And that's what you develop with the constant practice, because you start to get in touch with this higher essence, this higher soul that watches this individual soul live this lifetime. And then you can see that you are not really you. I don't ever say that. Like I look at me and I laugh. I'm not really Nalanie. Nalanie is a human personality that will die when I die. It will die. It will go into the dust and hopefully be totally cremated and ashes thrown to the sea. But that's Nalanie. But I will live. That prana will live.
Yes, but the individual soul that you were talking about, that is what leaves the body, or what remains
Wow.
in some way. So
This
there's
is
some place in between.
correct. You are very clever.
No.
And when
Yes.
you are very clever, you ask very interesting questions,
Yes.
very deep questions. You think a lot, so that's good. Yes, correct. When we are not totally self-realized and we leave this body, we have some knowledge, but not all. So what happens? We still are in the karmic cycle. So we're still an individual soul. So we choose to come back to earth. I mean, if we've done a lot of good deeds, we can stay away from earth for quite some time. It really is up to us. That's the freedom we experience. And then we decide to continue our journey, to get back to where we came from. But then, if you think like that, many people tell me, and I used to say the same when I first started yoga was, I want this to be my last life. Who wants to come back to this earth again? And, I want to finish, I want to learn, I want to be one with everything. And then when I really got older with it, and I thought, and I listened to some of the chants, and I listened to some of the prayers, and being brought up in a Catholic school, there was one that we always used to pray, say continuously, is glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. You see, you studied the same one. And in other words, I thought, we're all eternal. I mean, we never die. So, reincarnation, is it so bad? Won't we even remember? Just let us do what is best while we live, and then you come back to the final analysis. Bless you. You come back to the final analysis and you realize the only thing you can really, really, really do or know about is now. So why think so much about regression? Many people go to regression to find about their past lives. Or why worry so much about the future? Why? Why? There's no point. Anyway, you're going to be eternal no matter what. So why think so much? Why not just focus on this moment? And the only way you can focus on this moment is to transcend your own mind stuff. The things that make you fearful, the things that make you unhappy, the things that drag you down and keep you away from transcending to a higher place. It's the only way you can be free. What drags you down? All the things of this earth drags you down. But if you can ask yourself, am I really of this earth? Why am I allowing it to drag me down? I have many thousands and zillions. I can't even think about eternity. I mean, can you even fathom it? You can't. What's the point to worry about any of it? Who's come back and talked about eternity? Anyone? Not one person has talked about eternity. Once they're in bliss and in eternity, they can't come back to talk about it. So why not let it take its own course? And the soul wants to take its own course, but we get bogged down by earth, because earth is heavy energy. And the yoga science is to free yourself from this heavy energy by uniting with that soul, with that essence that is divine, by reminding yourself. That's the science. Just reminding yourself constantly, I'm not this body, as Master Shivananda would say, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am. I mean, that's the truth. That is the truth. And this is what Gurudev said, there is only one real truth. And that's the truth. As the only truth we know. And as I started to observe this truth, I started to do the practice. And I often speak about this simple story. When I fractured my foot, I had to go to Barcelona and give a talk there. I never like to cancel unless I'm really dying. So I went to Barcelona. I think you were there with me. And of course, it was like really quite a lot in pain. And they had dropped me to a place somebody invited us for dinner after the talk. And I was a bit tired. And anyway, I went. People were so polite and so kind. But they eat very late there, about 11 at night. So it was a little late, all day teaching and that. Anyway, what happened was, after they dropped me there, and then afterwards we had to walk to the cars. It's a little walk after such a heavy dinner so late. I'd like to walk a little. But of course, the person who had brought the car had forgotten where she had parked it. So I was like exhausted. My foot felt like it was lead. Every step was agony. And we were walking round and round. And then suddenly I thought, I'm focusing on my foot. I'm focusing on my pain. Where's all my yoga practices gone? I thought all this in my head. And I suddenly told everybody around me, come on, we're chanting. They said, what? She's gone mad again. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self, I am. And we all started laughing. They said, we're not focusing on the pain. And you know, I really felt so much better. The next 3 or 4 steps were easy. And suddenly, she remembered where the car was. So all that happened was for me to remind myself constantly, doesn't matter what drags you down, doesn't matter if you're exhausted, doesn't matter if you're in agony. When you remember that thought, you become free. And the pain was sent to me to remind me, such a simple thing, but it was so deeply etched into my heart and my brain that after that, anytime I have pain, the first thing I do is, I don't even give it any energy at all. I just go, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, mortal self, I am. It's pain, big deal. The body goes through pain. Don't make such a fuss on it, you know? Of course, then you put whatever you need to do, and then you're fine. And you heal much faster when you don't focus. So the yoga science for me was the magical medicine of hope in this world that is full of suffering and pain. When we get so dragged by minor things that we make so big in our minds, all these minor problems, we make them, you know, we really do make mountains out of molehills, you know? We really do. And it just brings you back to the truth. Reality check. Reality check. You know, why are you making so much fuss of this? So this person insulted you today. What's the big deal? How many people get insulted in their lifetime? Why the whole night thinking, she said this, she said... You know what? Great. That's what you think of me? Love it. Enjoy it. You suffer with that thought. I want to be free because I want to connect with that is the truth. And the truth is that I'm not really Nalanie, so she wants to insult Nalanie, but Nalanie has a big ego if she feels bad about it. Do you see how you work with yourself? And that's what you work with your mind. So it's me who has a big ego because I'm so worried about what people think. If I'm really free, and what is my desire? To be free. Your problem. You want to think that way? Fine. I'm not going to justify it. That's the way you want to think of me? God bless you. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I want to be free. See, my desire is freedom while I'm living. That's what we call a jivan mukta, a person who is free while they're living. Yeah, it's really nice. And it's so possible, and it's our job. And this is why this science has been there for 5,000, 6,000 years. And this is why I was so happy when I went to the World Yoga Conference Day in Portugal, and I had doctors, people from NASA, and people like that, proclaiming that the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali was one of the finest science of all time. They've never said that before. So, you know, it's phenomenal what's happening, that people, more and more scientists are proving that the one truth, that there is an energy. Call it what you will. Call it what you will, Jesus, Moses, Gurudev, Swami Satchidananda, it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. I don't think none of them are of it. Really, I don't think so. Master used to say, you garland me with all these flowers, right? And he says, and I let you because you make me happy. But you know, really, I'm also happy without them. I don't need them, but you need to do it to me? Fine. And I never forget when we were in Bali, and we had that was one of the most incredible retreats in the world we had with a master. And he must have been 81 at that time. He's strong and he's tall. And suddenly he came in with a cane. And there was a disciple of his from England called Muriel, and was it Muriel? Something like that, and he gave her the name Lakshmi. Long time disciple of his, very devoted. And the moment she saw Gurudev, she would want to go and help him. And one day there were 2 or 3 people, disciples getting jealous, all trying to touch him. Oh, everybody grabbing him, and he's got this stick in his hand. Watching. Suddenly he throws the stick on the floor and he jumps up. The stage is quite high. Jumps up! And everybody goes, He said, sometimes I just have to show you that I'm not so weak. I try to be weak so you can help me. But when you help me, you get jealous about it. So I can do it myself. It was a lesson to the disciples, right? And at that retreat, this woman, Lakshmi, she said to him, she must have been 80-something herself, yeah.
or something, yeah.
And she said, Gurudev, I've loved you all my life, and this science is the best science for me. But I have one wish. And he goes, what is that? Because I really would love to levitate. I really would love to levitate once in my life. And we laughed. But when we were all, at the end he did a chanting of Hari Om, and we went into a 5 or 3 minute meditation. And she told me after that she did levitate. She did levitate. And she knew, he knew, she knew. They both looked at each other. 2 months after that, she died of cancer. He knew, we knew that she was going to go by something he said. He said she was very strong there. So we didn't know she had cancer there. But we had another student called Lillian, and she was there with us in the Bali retreat. And he gave her a Sanskrit name. And when he gave it to her, he said, you will be the next Lakshmi, which is the goddess of all wealth. And that insinuated that Lakshmi was leaving the earth,
Yeah.
So when she left 2 months later, he gave her wish. So there are little things that take it. These things are nice, but do they make you better human beings? I don't know. What makes you a better human being is really, what is more important is how you live your life. And that's what our master always tried to tell us. Don't worry about levitating. Don't worry about, keeping your breath for so long. Don't worry about going on a headstand. None of this is going to make you a better person. He said, if you have to do one yoga, do good, be good. Today I had a student call me that really, she made me so happy today. So 20 years I've had this student. She called up, and recently, suddenly she started to help people in need in her life, a lot, just giving of her time. And she called me this morning, she said, Nalanie, I never understood live to love, love to serve. And she said, now, finally, I have understood that service makes you so happy. I said, yeah, I have no more time to think about all the nonsenses. And she said, exactly that. And I said, your problems are still there, because I know her problems. She goes, they're still there, but no more time to think about them, right? No, I'm too busy now. And it's 20 years, but 20 years is better than nothing, right? To feel so free. She said, I feel so free in my problems. And it was so nice to hear those words. I feel so free. And this is how I feel. I feel free from all the fears I used to have. I think if I could do it, all of you can do it easily, because I was very mollycoddled as a child. I had everything. I was, we lived in a very big house with maids and all the wealth you can think of. We always stayed at 5-star hotels, etc. We really had everything. So I had so much mind stuff. My mother used to say I could never even sit still for 1 minute. I was dancing, moving, doing something, And of course, when I left that life, I developed a lot of fears. Fear of being alone, fear of animals, fear of bugs, fear of heights, fear of everything, because the security was taken away from me. And suddenly, my whole life changed into a Cinderella life. Bugs, all the things I feared, they were nice. And kind people, because all I'd seen is kindness and love all my life. And people being really horrible for them. All this came. So I developed a lot of fears. And what I'm saying is, with this practice, one by one, they went. And that gave me the greatest freedom. Not what anybody did to me. That was my learning to deal, to become strong. But to let it all go and be less fearful of all these things. And that makes you get up in the morning with this energy to want to live. But when you're fearful, you don't want to get in. You don't want to help. You don't want to give your heart. You don't want to love. You just stay trapped. But when you're not fearful, you're not frightened of failure, of success, And you're not frightened of anything. You just carry on. And if the fear comes, you just tell yourself, what is there to be frightened of? What's the worst thing that can happen to me? I'll die? Fine, I'll have a next life. No big deal. And that's the difference it makes to you. And this is why I love teaching this science, is because of the freedom. Of course, there's always more to learn. I have so much more to learn. As long as I draw breath, I hope I can learn, because if there's nothing to learn, then there's nothing to live for. That newness of every day, to learn new things, to grow constantly. Because like I said, there's a whole universe out there that we haven't even touched. Last week we went out there and we saw the sun, and then we saw a shadow in the sky. Simple things. There's so much more to us. There is so much we can connect with inside. There's so much more magic. When we let go of all those fears, we can see. Why can we see? Because the mind becomes a little emptier of all this normal, everyday nonsense. And then you start to see much more than you would see when the mind is full of nonsense. You're trapped in like a little prison. And that's again why we keep repeating mantras, to clean out all those thoughts that go da 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 da. Yes.
Do you have, for example, a specific way to work with teenagers? Because they're at that moment where they want to detach themselves from their parents and go into the world, but then they go from something where they feel really comfortable out there and like maybe singing mantras or something else, but...
Teenagers, they love yoga. When I taught teenage class, it was many years ago, and I'm very sad I gave it up. But I just had too many people to teach that I couldn't do it all. And I tell you, that was my most fun class. Talk to them. They don't want to detach themselves from their parents. They want to explore the world. They want to explore themselves. They want to experience. And when the parents put them down and say, you have to do this, and you have to do this, you have to do that, it gets crushed. Now, every child is different. A sensitive child will go right in. A strong child will rebel and say, you don't tell me what to do. I'm going out there and do it myself. So you have to know the teenage child and what they want. I don't want to leave the home. My children never wanted to leave my home, but they always wanted to experience life. You let them, you have to allow them to make them, you guide them. They don't want to, if you think because they're doing different things they want to detach, that's not the truth. That's far from the truth. They want to grow.
They have to be free too.
Yes.
They don't feel free and learn.
Yes, they want to learn. And we clip their wings, I was speaking to somebody's child who's been brought up in Gibraltar, again, like me, very mollycoddled, etc. And I said, don't do that so much to them. They have to face the world. What happens? How many people have I had counseled? The moment they left Gibraltar and gone to university, can't deal, first year, all the fears come, exactly what happened to me. And then they come back and they can't deal with the world. So sometimes we have to allow teenagers to guide them, love them. The most important thing I will tell you about teenagers is constantly chat with them. Get into their world. Don't become a parent. Become a friend. Don't control, discuss. This is the thing. They want to do something that you're not sure of. You tell them, okay, if you think it's really good for you, show me how. Explain to me why you think this is good. Because maybe I'm from an older generation. Admit we're a different generation. We were freaks to our parents as well. I remember when I came with a miniskirt, my poor father, he was so upset, Indian girl with a miniskirt. It was my way of rebelling. So, this is, and I explained, my dad, thank God, was such a gentle man, such a loving human being. So I would say, Dad, this is the fashion. And then he'd explain his side to it. But people don't think like that. The men look at you differently. And I'm just worried for you. No, I'm going to do my own thing. And soon enough you learn. You learn that when you wear a miniskirt, the men do look at you differently. And then you say, okay, forget it. I'm not going to do this when I go out. I could get in trouble. So you learn a little bit of discrimination. But when you talk about it and explain to each other, my mother was just, don't do it. And because of that, I did it all the time. That was her nature. Do you know? But I adored my mom. I mean, I thought she was the most incredible woman for me. Her strictness was very good for me because I could have gone so crazy if I didn't have that, you know? So it is always, if you can see life the way that everything really, really that happens to us is everything is a teacher. When we don't judge it, and you know, the problem with parents is they really, really want to control their children, and this is where it all goes wrong. Guide them, be with them, talk to them, love them. Don't put them down. Ask them what makes their heart sing. I used to ask my children, what makes you happy? Do what makes you happy. Because ultimately, if you are happy, means you're at peace, that means you're well. If you're unhappy, it means you're not at peace. Just because you're doing it for me, I don't want a miserable child by my side. The whole family becomes miserable. But do something sensible and earn respect. I always talk to teenagers are very good at understanding that. Oh, I don't want to do this. And then I go, okay, don't go to, I've had many teenagers come to me. I don't want to go to university. My parents want me to go. Okay, fine. Don't go. What will you do with your life? Oh, I'll travel here. And then what? I don't know, I'll see as it comes. Okay, you'll see as it comes. So who's going to pay for all your travels all these years? Not my parents, correct. They'll pay for 1 year, maybe 2 years. They're trying to warn you and tell you that's going to happen. Then after that, what are you going to do? And then I make them think. And tell me, who do you respect in life? I always ask them the question. And then sometimes they'll say a footballer, or if it's a boy, or if it's a girl, they sometimes say, an aunt that they love, or somebody that they respect who's very kind, or grandmothers. They seem to love their grandmothers a lot, huh? Many children who's kind and loving, and so I said, you want to be like her? So why are you behaving so badly? If you respect that in your grandmother, or you respect that in the footballer is working hard. Okay, he may be playing football, but he's working hard, practicing 8-10 hours a day. Then you need to do that to be the person that you respect. Okay, and then they learn they have to look at themselves. They have to learn to respect themselves. I just talk to them like that, and that's how you ask them what they want. Who do they respect? What would they like to, how do they see themselves? You get them to visualize pretty pictures. It takes time. They have a rebellious nature probably because there's too much control in the home. That's normally the case. I hope I answered your question.
Yes.
Every child is different, remember that. Sensitive children, wear gloves and treat them gently. Strong children can be a little bit more strong, but a lot of talking, a lot of intelligence,
Lots of love.
and lots of love, yes.
What do you think about, I don't know, I'm sure everybody has heard this, that the child chooses his parents.
Yes, I totally believe that.
What is it?
It just means that the soul chooses you see, like we talked before about karmic,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
There's no God that punishes us. I really want you to get that really clear. We were created, and this energy that we call God is just the Lord of Love, as the Upanishads call it. And I'll read it to you now. I think we're going to cover some of the sutras in a few minutes. Yeah? And so we've been given the freedom. We've been given the freedom in a human body to make choices. That's the only thing. So sometimes we make the wrong choices, and karma, the law of karma, is cause and effect. It's not a judgment. You know, if you, for example, if you put food, like that happened to me the other day. I was cooking something, 5 grandchildren staying with me the weekend. So I was cooking some rice, and I said, I have to answer this email right away, it's urgent. So I went to my house, totally forgot about the rice, burnt it all, took it off the thing, nearly got the house on fire, turned it off, put it on my marble. Of course I burnt it, right, because it was so burnt. And the first thing I did was laugh. And I thought about this. maybe 20 years ago, I said, oh, why does it always happen to me? I burnt this, God, why this, and energy, why? You know, over that, the thinking was so different. I mean, you see, I didn't pay attention, so what I do, of course, is my responsibility. Nobody to blame. Nobody, not the kids, nobody. In the past, I probably say, oh, you kids, you drove me crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? It's because of you. That's the mind. I would have done that. I was so distracted, I had to do so many things. I couldn't do my email, you know, and wouldn't listen to me. I would have done that. But instead, it was so funny. Okay, so I got this mark on my marble kitchen top. Never mind, I put something together. And to remind me of paying attention. So it's just you learn cause and effect. There's no punishment. Things happen to us because of cause and effect. So of course, when we leave this life, we know there are certain lessons we still have to learn. So we choose the parents that will allow us to continue our journey. So we continue the journey in the right way. Yeah.
Do you have time to tell that story, which is so good to this question? Do you remember the family with the drug, selling drugs, and their little son? How they stopped selling the drugs because the son was born into that family? Do you remember?
Oh yes.
I thought that
So many
would be
stories that we
sorry,
have.
I've not heard
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's a nice story.
Oh yes, that is
Yes.
true. That was my early days of practice. Yes.
I was here actually when you were telling
Yeah.
about this.
Okay.
And then he left away. Then he went
No,
back to
he
United.
No, I didn't.
No.
I know.
You want to hear the story?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you probably because he explains it so
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there was this, you see, I forget all these things. Many years ago, I saw this couple called me up and had a huge, I was living in Gibraltar, but they had a huge villa here in Spain somewhere. And their son was dying of cancer. That's the one, right? He was 11 years old. They'd been to all the top doctors, all the top people. And of course, their son didn't have a chance. And they were crying to me. And, oh, this is the son, we've given everything, our only son, we only have one child, and we love him so much, and both of them were really sobbing. So I found out, actually before I went there, somebody had told me, because sometimes, you know, when people recommend me to see people, I ask them, give me a little history, because otherwise there's too many hours, you know. If I know a little history, I can speed up my work. So they told me that she believed they were in drugs because she never really saw them working and they always had billions and their family wasn't wealthy. So I had to take up all my courage at this really difficult time and I said, you know, and they were blaming God at this point, they did believe in a God. And I said, you know, I really don't think God does that, punishes anyone. I think it's all cause and effect. And I said, are you involved in trade that hurts anyone? I put it quite nicely to them, I didn't. And then of course they told me that they were, I mean they were desperate at this point. And I said, can you imagine how many children were lost to those parents because of those drugs? I'm so sorry to see your son suffering. Do not cause more suffering on yourself. On a higher knowledge now, I said, your son loves you so much that he's come for these 11 years to teach you so that you don't hurt more people, so that you become free from doing this trade. And if you can see what I'm saying, and I don't mean to offend you at this difficult time in your life, it was really, I think, one of the most difficult. I remember so difficult for me to say all this, but I felt I had to say it with love. And so they heard me. They weren't angry at all. They just asked me to pray with them, and I prayed with them. And I said, God is love. Focus on that love. And for the rest of your life, with whatever you make, try and help as many children as you can. Anyway, the son did die. A few months later, they sent me a long letter. And they said they thought about what I said. And they would not deal in it anymore because they do not want any parent to suffer the way they have. So, do you see? It's cause and effect. And that child came to that family to save them. It's just like I believe my special needs grandchild has come to our family to awaken a lot of people to see that there's nothing wrong with being special needs. It's wonderful. They're angels. Yes, they were a lot of work, I agree. But what's a little work between an angel and a mom, or an angel and a grandmom, or a family? And yoga teachers here that have really helped her out, these two ladies here. And I know many people that I have met have come to me in the past and said to me, before I had my special needs grandchild, I said, oh, my life is so difficult with special needs. Why did God do this to me? I'm really suffering. And I used to have so much compassion for them until Talia was born. And now when they say, poor me, I said, no, how lucky you are. What a learning, what a gift. You can learn to really give of yourself and serve of yourself. And you never know how much love these children give you. They give you so much love. So now I've changed my way of counseling these people so they don't come to me anymore. Only the ones that see their babies as angels will come now. Yeah, because they're angels. They're really angels. And and like I show many people, okay, my Talia, little Talia, that's a gift. Although hard work and many nights of thinking is she going to live or not in the last 6 years, this has been the easiest year for us. For the last 5 years, and many, many months of thinking she's not going to make it, she had swine flu, she had this, she had that. But, yes, but that's life. Do you know that's life? And both my daughter and I look upon the fact that so long as she's happy, for the years she's on earth, that's all we want. How long it will be, we don't, nobody knows. She might outlive us all, we don't know. So, what I see that this child has come to teach my daughter to be stronger than she thought she ever could be. It's taught, it's influenced my daughter-in-law in Hong Kong, who's now working with special needs and taken Sonia Soma to Hong Kong twice because of Altalia, and now has influenced over 1,000 people there and in the Philippines as well, because they came from the Philippines to take the course in Hong Kong, right? So, and thanks to Sonia Samar. And then Lakshmi, another student of mine in Portugal after seeing Talia, is now working with special needs in Portugal. There's another few hundred people that have been influenced by her way of looking at special needs. And now they've done some videos of how they work with Talia. And how many people have told me they've seen the videos and loved the work that they're doing. So you see, it's rolling. So one child, just by changing our way of thinking, good karma, bad karma. We thought good, we never thought bad. And then you see, when you're on the positive, and that's when you flow with love. What is the difference? Love, for whatever happens. So when you flow with love, you're carried along. Now those people that I'd counseled before, who were upset and angry and in pain, and so angry with their special needs, so angry at God and angry at life, I've seen 16, 17 years, broken relationships, the children, the other children that are normal, don't like their parents, they really dislike their parents, there's so much argument, there's loss of money, there's loss of health, and so I see, it's just, we only have the choice. The only choice we have is how we look at the situation. And if we look at every situation, no matter how bad, and not believe that we are punished, but believe that we are blessed, then the consequences will follow as such. It may take time. Doesn't happen overnight. Yes.
How could you look at you blessed? How could these abused children who, I don't mean sexually, mentally, emotionally, from a young age, how can they possibly look at that's a blessing for them?
For those children, there's a double karma there. Now, I think, for me, this is one of the hardest. So you brought up something that touches my heart. I can't understand how anybody can abuse children.
No, but they do, and they're
Yes, and it's definitely, I've seen many of the abused children myself, as adults. And the trauma they face for the rest of their lives is just cruel. Now, there's two-way karma on this. The child comes because that child could have abused in a previous life. There are many. We look at TV today and you watch how many people just, like for example, Tanzania, life is cheap. They kill like it's going out of style. There's no respect for life. Those children could have chosen to come to these parents, right, to be abused. I have also seen.
But is that not a way of the person then saying, well, I deserve this? Which
Initially.
you say
You don't, they won't even come to that when they're abused. They don't even come to that kind of conclusion until they get much more intelligent and then they learn. While they're being abused, I have seen people who have been abused, grown up, and tried to get out of that anger, that anger, the physical, the mental, and they've seen psychologists, they've seen doctors. And I have seen when they've taken this, forgiven their parents, and used their abuse to help other people, they have grown incredibly. I've seen people. And I've seen other children that have taken the abuse and felt sorry for themselves get stuck in the rut. And it's a never-ending cycle. I'll just finish answering hers. I've seen many abused children, by the way. What I tell those children is, okay, this has happened. Cause, effect. I don't even call it judgment. Cause and effect. What you sow, what you reap. Finish. Just very clinically non-attached. There's no fault in this. Now that you know cause and effect, what you're going to do now to make your future better? How are you going to behave to make your future better? You don't have to stay stuck. Break the cycle. You don't have to repeat the same thing to your children. Break the cycle.
But they don't forgive either.
Oh, many do.
Yeah, many do, but a lot don't repeat the cycle.
Don't repeat the cycle. Break the cycle.
They break the cycle, but they don't forgive.
It takes a long time. It takes a long time. I think it's a long process. Sometimes they can't do it in 1 or 2 lifetimes. It takes many, the anger is so strong. This is why all the spiritual teachings from all the different traditions talk about forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Right? Because without forgiveness, you really can't grow. Okay, Vanessa, and then I'll come to you. All right? Thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that Louise Hay is an example, is a real living example of this, because she has been abused when she was young, and she teaches self-love and self-forgiveness. And there's a very beautiful example of Dr. Dwayne Dyer, who recently did a talk on the World Summit of Louise Hay, where there's a woman who was from the Marines, and she is on duty and she's thrown off a cliff, and she's in a wheelchair. And he says to her, listen, you need to forgive this person and you need to forgive yourself. And she says, I'm going to try to do this. And after 1 year, you see her walking in the room and she forgave this person and herself, and it healed her physically as well.
Absolutely. Forgiveness heals. If any of you haven't read this book, please read it. And again, it's Wayne Dyer who brought this woman to the world's attention. It's called,
Left to Tell.
Left to Tell. Left to Tell. Ilibagiza,
Immaculate.
Immaculate Ilibagiza, yes. Immaculate, Live to Tell.
Left to Tell.
Left to Tell, thank you. Left to Tell. Brilliant book. Please read it. If you don't ever want to forgive, when you read that book, you'll want to forgive. You will really want to forgive.
Immaculate.
Ilibagiza.
Yeah,
I-L-L-I-Z. I think it's I-L-L-I-B-A-G-I-Z-A.
There's actually one doctor in Estonia that was thrown out from her union because she was practicing that kind of medicine long time in Estonia. That forgiveness. I don't remember her name. I've read her books, but she also said that she died several times, 6 times, and she came back. Just this amazing woman. Anyway, so she was, lots of people came to her clinic, you know, cripples and, you know, cancer, and, you know, she gave them a, like, exercise that you have to forgive, you know, not have to, but forgive your body, forgive, you know, and, you know, repeating the thing. Amazing things happen.
It's amazing. I've seen it. Amazing. Forgiveness is the most greatest gift. You had a question. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Kelly.
Kelly. Welcome, Kelly.
I'm from the United States. I've been living in Spain for the last 10 years. Mary introduced me to your center. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
My focus in listening to what you were saying about the anger and the ongoing process, perhaps with the child and the parent, is that linked to the ancestry? And I'm kind of a bit wondering about, could it be that the ancestry in the family line is so strong that maybe somewhere there's anger or some strong negative energy living itself out through the family?
Of course, this is why the child chose that family. Do you
but
see?
to the mother, to the daughter, to the grandchild,
Yes.
or from behind.
It's all connected to ancestry. That's why they say when you do good, it will bless 7 generations forward. If you do bad, haven't you read that in many scriptural books? Yeah. It will bless the 7 generations to come. So it is, yes, to do with ancestry, because cause and effect will come back in the children that will come to you. And I always tell my grandchildren this, you know, please, the first person you have to look after is your mother. You know, otherwise your children will not look after you. And there's a story. It is to do with ancestors. There's a story called the wooden bowl, which I'll tell it now. It's ancestry and it's also karmic. Because it's both combined as one. That child would choose that as ancestry because it has to learn its lessons there until the cycle is broken. Then the next child that comes may be a negative child who's abused, but will be given a home of love. And so like that, we break all those negative homes and we create positive homes. But let me tell you the story of the wooden bowl. It's one of my favorite little stories, you know. Well, there were these... this family living together, and suddenly the granddad, the wife dies, the grandmother dies, you know, and so they bring the father home to live with them. But he's old, and he's clumsy, and he shakes, and he just lost his wife. So he's not very strong and not very clean in the house because he dribbles a bit. So every time at dinner, he drops the food. So the husband and wife get so angry. You know, Dad, we can't have you at the table. You're always making a mess. My poor wife has to clean up after you all the time. Don't want you eating with us anymore. It's just too stressful. So what do? They take the father and they give him dinner early in a corner, and they give him a wooden bowl so that he doesn't break anything. He's not allowed to eat off plates. Glass plates. He has to have a wooden bowl. Anyway, a few months later, children have a holiday and the son is there carving some wood. And the father asks him, son, what are you doing with that piece of wood? Oh, Daddy, I'm carving a wooden bowl. Why are you carving a wooden bowl? Is it for your grandfather? He goes, no, Dad, so that when you get old and you do that, I've got a bowl for you. At that moment, the father realized, oh my God. So from that day, he said, doesn't matter how much trouble the father gets, eats on the table with them. Do you see? So there's kind of conditioning, ancestry, all these things all combine into one. So really, as Bhagavad Gita tells us, whatever good you do will never be lost. In this world or the worlds to come, or the lives to come. So always strive to do that which is right and good, even though it causes a lot of sacrifice. And that's why sacrifice in the Hindu language is not a bad word. It's a beautiful word. In the Western terminology, sacrifice, oh, I don't want to sacrifice. But sacrifice in our world is very beautiful, it's a wonderful thing. It's not suffering. I mean, a mother or father will sacrifice a nice night's sleep gladly to see that when a child is sick. We should. I mean, nowadays people have become so selfish. They just abuse their children instead. Because what's happened? What's happening to these generations? We're becoming extremely focused on the material. I need, I want. We're just becoming so selfish. I need this, I need this. So if anybody disturbs your peace, we don't tolerate it anymore. So we've lost the energy to sacrifice, to love, to give. Everybody's looking for their convenience, what's good for them. And what happens? Oh, it's my time, I can't do it. So that's not service. Is that serving? Oh, it suits me, therefore I'll help you. Doesn't suit me, I'm not gonna. Don't want your help. Service should be from the heart. Of course, it's easy, everybody can serve. It's really sacrifice when it's not easy. But sacrifice is very beautiful. And this is what we're losing in our society. You know, I'll give up my best dress if it makes you happy and you want it. Do you know? No, it's more and you can borrow it. You know, sisters, brothers, all fighting over property. Poor father, mother works all their life to build up something to leave their kids. And what do they leave their children? Nothing but wars. I've seen so many of that recently. Brothers and sisters arguing. Your parents work so hard to make your life comfortable. Why can't you just divide it equally? So simple. Why can't you? And if the will says this one gets more and this one gets less, why do you want to debate it? Accept it. That was your father and mother's will. Just say thank you. No, I should get more. Oh, and you spend an entire life of greed. Yes.
Where do you think the main division is coming from that is so divisive and getting people so far away from the essence?
The source is all money, material gains.
Attachment.
Yeah, attachment.
The children, you think it's because the world
Children, for the children have been totally spoiled today. They're not taught to give. Parents are so busy out working. I'm sorry, I'm going to be very straightforward. It's fine to work, but then when you come home, they're not willing to sacrifice time to sit down with the children and talk to them. What do? They take their computers. I'm so sorry, they do that. Kids are left to their own devices. And what do they learn? Parents are selfish. Do you know, I counseled a young girl not long ago. She was 24, and her parents came to me and said to me, oh, I don't know why my daughter hates me. She just wants to be with her grandmother all the time. She says, we're not her parents. We worked all our lives. We worked all our lives to give her whatever she has, right? She came to me. She said, what? Did I ask them to work all their life to give me what they had? I asked them for love. I asked them for time. They came home from work. All they did is scream at us, fix your bed, fix the kitchen. We were their slaves. That's it. She said, my grandmother is my mom because she loved me. She looked after me. And I want to look after her. I want to look after her. I don't want to look after my mother and my father. They may have given me money, and what would they do? They come home when they wanted me to shut up, they give me whatever I want for shopping. So I went on drugs. What did I do? I married the wrong man at 18 because I was pregnant, because I wanted to get out of the house. So she said, don't tell me about my parents.
Kim, was not that you put on the Facebook that story that all the kids are hanging, first father, then the mother, and all the kids on the line hanging to their parents? Very shortly, the story was exactly what Nalanie says. The little boy asked the father, how much you earn per hour, Daddy? And the daddy said, why do you want to ask? Well, just tell me. And the daddy says that £100, let's say. And the boy said, can I borrow £50, Daddy, please? And they say, why? Because I've got 50 and I want to buy an hour of your time. I know. I think it's brilliant.
Heartbreaking.
That's exactly what Nalanie said.
Oh,
Well, this is what's
But
going
there
on.
seems to be a divide as well where, you know, from my perspective, I
Yes.
have a lot of time for my family, but it's like they don't want it.
Maybe they don't want so much. Maybe you got too much time.
No, but you know, it's like
It's a balance.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems to be.
it's a balance. Yes, there is a
I wonder
divide.
where they are.
There is a divide. This is what I tell all parents. You know, this is where we should be taught this in school.
Yes.
The early years, you give your children as much as you can. I think once they get to school, 4 to 6 years old, then both parents, especially in this day and age, should think of doing something creative. The father normally works, the mother should think of doing something creative for herself for 2 reasons. One, you need to build up your own personality, and you've been given your soul with a life. And I think you need to build up, if it's not working yourself, find an interest and get involved in it. Otherwise, children feel that the mother's, all the focus is on the children. Once you get a life, that's what they feel. Then they get irritated because they go out, and then they feel guilty, but mom's done everything for us. And it's the other way. She's done everything for us, and then we're going out. So there's guilt. So when they have that guilt, they get angry with you. So I'll give you an example of my own life. My son, I mean, I've always worked, and I always came home, no matter how tired, I would always have dinner, breakfast, and in Gibraltar those days we had lunch breaks and lunch with them. I would always do that and talk to them. All right, didn't spend a lot of time with them, but what I did was quality. Okay, anyway, my children had to go to boarding school. I say I had to because in those days the frontier was closed. And for me, I didn't want them to believe that they were living in this small world. I wanted them to experience the big world that I had known. All right. So every holiday when they came back, what would I do? I would cancel everything, any dinner party, any social engagements, and just spend time with my kids, right? Okay, one day I'm home making lunch for my son, and I hear him speaking outside. And he goes, "Oh, Darren, you know, I really would love to go out with you, but I don't know what to do. Mom canceled everything so that she's here with us. And I just feel really horrible. I don't know how to tell her what to do. Ugh, you know, like that, so angry, right? But he loved me. He didn't mean to be angry with me, but I could look down at his friends for Mom's fault, right? Kind of. So when he closed the phone, I went out and said, "Shimon, I heard that conversation." He said, "No, Mom, really, I didn't mean it that way." And I go, "You know what? Let's make a deal from this day onwards. I won't cancel anything for you, and you don't cancel anything for me. But if we prefer to be with each other, we'll say it. And there is no guilt." And to this day, we have that agreement. And that was when he was 15. We have that agreement. And when I go to Hong Kong now, he always feels after my husband died, he has to look after me. He feels a little guilty that he's not here looking after me, but you know, and I tell him, no, the biggest gift you give me is looking after your wife and your children. So he always feels after work every day, he has to come and see me. I stay at my mom's house when I visit. So I told him, remember our agreement, no guilt. Go home, spend tonight with your family. I want to be with my mother. I don't want you around. And it's such a nice ritual. And yet we always want to be with the thing is we always want to be with each other. But we realize we need to be a little detached from that too. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Okay, it's going through things that you learn. It's tricky. It's like a juggler. You're juggling all the time. It keeps us alive, it keeps us awake, it keeps us with work to do. So I'm sorry we've touched all these children, teenage things, but I guess it's a lot to do with us. We're children ourselves, you know, and we have to realize that, you know, we're still young, and we really have to keep ourselves inspired. We really have to keep ourselves inspired to live in this world. We have to keep working on ourselves. And the only way we can inspire ourselves is to know that nothing belongs to us, because it's all these attachments, you know, all this, you know, and even sometimes when you do everything right, it doesn't seem like it's going to turn out right. And we shouldn't be attached to that also. Sometimes even when you do everything right, things will turn out wrong, because that's life. And it's okay that things turn out wrong. It's okay. You just have to say to yourself, it's life. It's not perfect. It's the acceptance. And the only way you can accept is to understand that it's all temporary. The truth is that we, the real us, is eternal. All this is like a play. If you can imagine, you're taking part in a movie. I do this a lot in my mind. When something bad is happening, I tell myself right away, oh, this is just the bad part of the movie. This is just when things are going wrong for James Bond. And he's going to die and drown. And then suddenly, everything goes right in the end, on any of these movies that you watch, I just say James Bond because I used to dislike James Bond so much, and my husband and my son and my master all love James Bond. So I thought, all three of the men in my life love it so much, there must be something in it. So I started to watch all the James Bonds, because I love it too. There's something in it. It's so crazily mad. It's a male thing. And I can understand why they like it, It's so magical in their world. And I was really grateful to have the non-attachment to my own personal views, detach from that, and go on to understand that other people's views could be teaching me a lot as well. It's a lot about learning all the time. When you're very stubborn, my way, or I like this and I don't like this, learn to bend a little. Bend a little, because you'll be surprised at what you can learn when you bend in life. And that's why all the masters tell us, in order to bend, what do you need? Which ingredient?
Humility.
Correct. Humility. You have to be humble to life. Constantly. Constantly. You know the story of the big tree in the forest and the little reed? Yeah. It's a little reed growing by the big tree. And the big tree says, look at me, how grand I am. I give shade to everything. And you puny little weed, what can you do? So here along comes the storm, and the water rushes through the rivers. And what happens? The big tree that is so strong, with the force of the water, cracks. Because when you're stiff, you crack. And the little weed just bows its head, and the water goes over it, and it comes up again. Got it? Humility. All the teachings, all the books teach us that. And I just like to finish with what?
With Bhagavad Gita.
With one sutra. One sutra. Oh, just to announce as well that next week the topic will be relationships. There was we got an email. I did it in Marbella last Wednesday, and I got an email saying, please, they missed the talk and would love to have it here in Sotogrande. How it works is it's questions and answers. You write the questions or email the questions to Shanti. I don't need to have your name if you don't want to put your name on it, and I will answer the questions. And that's how it works. So last week on Wednesday I had lots of questions, about 8 or 9. So was much. You were there, yes, and people wanted more. So I've been asked if I could do it again, obviously depending on which questions I get. Any kind of relationship. So that will be the talk for next week, if that's okay with everyone.
Will that be the last one?
Yes.
Time? Yeah.
Well, there's another one after that, isn't it? The 30th?
2 more Tuesdays, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 2 more
Yeah,
Tuesdays.
there's 2 more Tuesdays.
2 more.
The
Yeah.
30th.
Oh, yeah.
If that's okay with you, Nalanie.
Even the parties here.
I mean, there's some coming.
They're here for
Yeah,
4
run
weeks.
out of oranges.
Yeah.
Run out of oranges,
There are oranges.
There's some more, isn't there?
Like, I'm saying, my auntie loved your oranges.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, the juice is delicious.
Yeah, she loved it.
I want to thank Trevor for offering us so many oranges every week.
Oh,
They make delicious oranges.
Lovely.
Please help yourself as you go out the door and take the oranges from his orchid. They're all organic. So should we do one sutra or should we just do? Okay. Which one was it, Shanti?
Okay, you're up to 22, 8:38.
Yes.
Can I ask this the last one question of the first subject, so I don't close my thoughts.
Still thinking.
That's it.
What
So then-
question?
Yes, the jiva, the soul, the individual soul that stays there, that's the one that's coming back all the time,
Correct.
having the evolution, right? Even
Correct.
if you have the prana and the basic energy always within when you are alive, the other one is the one that has the evolution, right?
Yes, correct. The individual soul has its evolution until it finally self-realizes.
Yes, and it's
When
correct.
it self-realizes, it is no longer separate.
It becomes one.
Okay? So it can never come back and tell us because it's become one now. It's no longer individual.
Yeah.
Got it?
It becomes God. Yes.
It's like it's like you take all the pieces of jewelry and you melt them all. You can no longer tell which is the bracelet and which is the necklace and which is the ring. It all becomes gold again. So it can't come and tell you. Avatars, which I believe my master was one, Lord Jesus was one, Lord Buddha was one. Avatars are those souls that have self-realized and come back. That's why they call them sons of God. That's why they call them sons. Come back. They've chosen to come back to guide us. And that's why you see in avatars some superior qualities that you don't see in us. They have some superior qualities. I mean, if you watch my master with any animals, quite something. And he could fly a plane, he could do anything, fix cars, do whatever, natural cures, anything. He knew it all. You wonder how did one person know so much stuff, you know? And also you see in his ancestry, going to your question, he chose to come to parents, to a mother who decided when she was pregnant with him to go to her master, her guru, to bless the baby inside her womb. Highly spiritual people, totally believed in divine energy. So he was born to such a family to continue that work. Like Buddha was born to a very wealthy family too. Until the age of, I think, 17 or 18, for the first time he was allowed out of his house. And what did he see? He wasn't allowed to see sickness and anything like that. He saw sickness. He saw old age. He saw things that he'd never seen. And then he asked, so what's the meaning of my life if that's all going to happen to me? So came the search, who am I? Who am I really? What's the point of all these luxuries when I see sickness and death at the end of the road? So that hit him. Ramana Maharishi, somebody died at a very young age when he was 18. And he just focused on death. And he learned about his soul and became self-realized. He was illiterate, couldn't read or write, but he became self-realized. And his ashram continues today in India, one of the most beautiful ashrams I have visited. The energy still sits there. So these are sons of God that come back, and one day they just get self-realized because they continue their journey. And once they realize, their entire life is service. Because they realize it's not, they don't want anything for them anymore. What is it to want for you? Do you know, when you so know that everything is not yours anyway? All this is on loan. Everything is on loan, you know. So what are you going to use it? Are you going to say, oh, I don't want it? You can either say that and say, I don't want any of it, and live really simply. Or you can say, okay, this is what I have. How can I share it? What can I do with it to help more people that don't have this? The choice is ours. Yes.
When do they decide to come back, or how is it then that they come? I understand that they come back, but do they? Is it the universal consciousness that decides that they need to come back to help the world, or?
I don't think anybody can answer that question. It is the soul's journey. And I think a lot of the choices we make while we're living, if we're not self-realized at the point when we go, I do believe choices are offered to us on the other side. And we can take our time, and sometimes we can't take our time to come back. Who decides? It's the energies of our connection with our divine. You know how instinctively in your life, this is how I know things, right? Instinctively in your life, you know, okay, now it's time to change. Or it's time to do something else. Or it's enough now. You know, instinctively, I think the soul knows instinctively when it's time to get on.
I want to see the divine masters, or like.
Oh, you're talking about the divine
Yes,
masters?
exactly. Not about.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to answer for them.
I don't know. I was thinking.
I wouldn't be able to answer for them. I really wouldn't. All I can say in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, wherever unrighteousness prevails, this is Lord Krishna speaking to his disciple Arjuna, wherever unrighteousness prevails, do not worry, I will always bring righteousness to show the earth. So, you know, this is the promise made by the universe. So whenever unrighteousness prevails, it must separate itself to bring it to the world in a human form. What I do know, what I've heard my master say is, of course, when they do come back in a human form, it's a big sacrifice because the energy is so much lower here. And of course, there's always a danger falling back into the old mistakes because it's so tempting. Even Lord Jesus was tempted. Even Lord Jesus, when he was meditating for 40 days and 40 nights, you know, he was tempted by the demon who said, I will give you anything you want, all the wealth you want, all the women you want, all the gold you want, anything. And he goes, no, not at all. Nothing is mine anyway. You see? So temptation will come to anybody who lives in the earth, no matter how elevated you are. So they make great sacrifices to come to serve us, great sacrifices. And how they come and when they come, I believe they come when the world really needs it, as I read in the Gita. And I think when the world needs it, things are just set into place. And the world really needs it. And I think when the human soul cries out, then it will attract that goodness. Like now they talk about the, children being born, indigo children, we're talking about it today. They think differently, to take us out of our box and children should be that way or this way. Everything is being sent to change us. We become so rigid, so cold, so unmoving, so controlling. So I believe things happen to change and break that cycle. Who decides? God knows. All I know that there's a lot of hope when things are bad. That's all I know. That's all I can say.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
Like, born and bred Catholic, and it's drilled into me. The Virgin Mary bit, where obviously she was conceived by the Holy Spirit. I mean, do you believe that, or is that just where man has tried to make it so that the woman was pure? That she was supposed to be a virgin. I mean, I stopped saying the Hail Mary because I couldn't.
I love her. She's Shakti to me. She's Goddess Shakti to me.
Yeah, but see, I don't.
No,
I
I don't really believe that either.
No.
I believe that, they just said it to keep it so pure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just an image that they wanted to portray. I mean, she did go with Joseph, so it's not that. I frankly don't believe that, but...
That's just the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but in the Hindu tradition, they also have that.
I do.
Yeah, they also have Kunti, who is mother of Arjuna, and her 5 sons. They say she was impregnated by different gods. But she was impregnated by different gods. So my interpretation is these gods appeared as man on earth with special qualities. But it's all symbolic. For me, it's very, very symbolic. Pure, to be pure. There's been lots of misinterpretation.
I think there was a very big meeting in the year 400, something like that, where a religious meeting where the church got.
That's right.
And that was when this thing they said we need to boost it. We need to get it.
Sell the product.
Sell the product.
Yeah.
We need to get it back on track. Just put some spice into it, and that's when this entered. It was not there before.
Yeah, they have to, because people can't believe into intangible. It's very difficult, so you have to make a story.
Correct.
And an image for the God with the whatever, because we know we have a real image here, but when people
Yes.
read the Bible,
Yes.
they have not seen what you see.
Yeah.
So there has to be
A story
something to
also.
hold on to, otherwise it's so difficult.
No, I understand that. I just think being
Yes.
brought up in a very Catholic, Irish,
Yes.
very traditional,
totally
it was
understand.
misinterpreted
Correct.
that we, as a women, were told,
Yes, I think so.
you're dirty or things like that. Like
Control.
That, yes,
It's all
that's
control.
all it was.
Women are beautiful.
Yes. No, I know that. But I'm
Yes,
just
good.
saying, go back
Yes.
to my youth where that's what was drilled in.
Where all this problem with sex started to come in,
Yeah.
and manipulation of women for sexual needs started to come in. You see?
Yes, but
Because-
even contraception in Ireland only came in very recently.
Yeah.
Like 20 odd years, like 30 odd years ago. And there's still no abortion or anything like that in Ireland. So it's still very based on control of the church, which for me is why a lot of people have turned away. Even though I had a great faith growing up, and I had a great, realistically, my experience with the Catholic Church was always very good with nuns and priests and things like that. But it's just now I see when I go back to Ireland, it's completely in turmoil because what held it together, that Catholic Church, is now, it's gone with the youth. It really, really
Yes.
is.
Because people got knowledge now. In
It's
those
normal.
days,
So they
people
weren't
didn't
No,
have
they
that
just turned
knowledge.
away
Yes.
the knowledge.
They hold it with the
Sorry,
fear,
I can't. Yeah. What did you say?
I said because I was brought up in a very Catholic environment and the teachers we had were not educated. And I was at a school in Paris and the Irish people weren't allowed to talk to the other people. They kept everything separate because they didn't want them to have any other ideas. But none of that's important because the essence is love.
No, I
So
know
it's
that.
not
Yeah.
important if she was a virgin. It's just really not important.
Ultimately, when you have knowledge, nothing
Yeah.
is.
Knowledge,
I have her outside in my garden.
Yes, I
Barbara.
saw that. Yeah.
I love her
Yeah.
so much.
No, for me, this course
Yeah.
actually answered. It made sense of my religion that I was just, fed my whole life. I never questioned it. I was just told, this is this. So obviously, coming into this kind of spiritual world, which is very recent, it actually made a lot of sense to everything. To the prayers, like the glory be to the Father, to me is my favourite prayer because I understood actually now what I was saying.
Yeah,
So
and the
that's
Our
why.
Father is beautiful
Yes,
too.
I mean I say all of them, but I was just always a bit like, well, now I definitely don't believe Virgin Mary, do you know what I mean? So I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
But she reminds me of Goddess Shakti, what we call Goddess Mother, Mother Earth. Mother Mary is like Mother Image, Shakti, and really we have to really build up the Mother energy. She's over there. Mother energy in both males and females in this world.
Balance.
Yes. We need to build up more female energy in our world. The females have gone away from our female energy. We need to bring it back. So the men have become harder. So they need to bring that back because the world is very confused at the moment. So if we both bring up this female energy, which is known as Shakti, which is creation, love, compassion, nurturing, not egoism, arrogance, not ownership, not possessiveness. If both people, male and female, can do this in this generation to come, relationships will be beautiful. Relationships will be so beautiful. There's no more dominance of male, female, but a joining together, which is so beautiful. Union, a real union. I mean, if we can do that spiritually and then you unite, then sex is beautiful.
That's a unity.
It's a celebration of God. It's not a denial. It would not have been that way if it was not intended.
I know, but that's what
Yes,
I'm saying. The Catholic
yes.
Church used it the
Correct.
other way.
Absolutely.
As fear and that
And
it's
like-
not been
yeah,
nice thing.
They did. And this is why Mary said when you transcend that, you just don't even bother to think on those lines. Forgive them, they know not what they
Yes.
do. And continue with your feeling, which we're brought up with, you know, your love for Lord Jesus, your love for Mother Mary. Because that faith, as Sri Patanjali tells you, doesn't matter the name you give it, but that connection that you've had as a child is so vital.
No, it is. It's
It's so
definitely
vital.
been reawakened.
Yes.
And I always felt comfortable. So obviously where I lost it, I think, was where I started to lose
Yeah.
and gained and everything like that. So yeah, definitely.
So make your church at home.
Yes.
Yeah.